So pay attention to this video, because if you live at your parents' house and you've got a good relationship, this is for you. Would you recommend buying your first house and renting it out and then living in your parents' house for a while? So what you should do, if you've got a good relationship with your parents and you still live at home, is the first option is to buy a property as a buy-to-let. So you have to put down a 25% deposit. And you're going to rent out, I always recommend renting out rooms, but you're going to rent out the property to other people. Okay? Now, the reason why I say, if you've got a good relationship with your parents, get a buy-to-let property when you put down 25% and rent out the property and that, is because you don't really need to leave your parents' house. That's why I said key word, good relationship with your parents and that. You don't need to leave your parents' house. Because what's going to happen, if you leave your parents' house, now you've got water rates. Now you've got gas bill. Now you've got electric. Now you've got council tax. You don't need to be paying these bills if you don't have to. So stay at your parents' house as long as possible. Now, obviously, if you don't have a good relationship with your parents and that, then yeah, you might have to get out and that. But if you have a good relationship with your parents, stay there as long as possible. You paying council tax every month, you're not even using and utilizing council tax. Now, there could be an argument for gas, water, and electric and that, because obviously you're using gas, water, and electric. Council tax, all right, the people, they collect your bins and that, yeah, if they feel like it. You know what I'm trying to say? So you're just going to be taking on unnecessary bills and that. You're better off putting that money back into your parents' house, yeah, or putting it into your parents' pocket and that. Really and truly, your parents should only be charging you about £300 and that. If your parents is charging you like £700 a month, yeah, well then get the fuck out and that. So that's your first option. Stay at your parents' house, put down a 25% deposit on a buy-to-let property and do that. The next one is get a residential property. So put down a 10% deposit on a property. You need to run this past your mortgage broker first, but it should be acceptable to have a residential property that you live at part-time, and the other time when you're not there, rent it out as an Airbnb. Now, you need to run this past your mortgage broker and see what they say. Say to them, I'm looking to buy a house as a residential, but 1 week out of the month, I won't be there, and I'm going to rent it out as an Airbnb. Yeah? See what they say. If they say that's acceptable, then get a property as a residential, so you put down 10%, and then you have the luxury of 1 week not being there and then renting it out. And you can make some serious money off of Airbnb for 1 week. If that 1 week that you rent out a property as an Airbnb, that could pretty much, depends on obviously how much your mortgage is. It might pretty much even cover the cost of your mortgage. So you almost live in mortgage free pretty much. So those are the options. Obviously, worst case scenario, if you don't have a good relationship with your parents and that, and or they're charging you some mad money like £700 a month, well then yeah, move out of your parents' house and put down a 10% deposit on a property and just live there. Obviously, a property that you live in is a short-term liability but long-term asset. So short-term liability means you're putting money into something that's not bringing you back a direct return. And when I say a direct return, it doesn't even have to be on a daily basis or weekly basis. It's not even bringing you back a monthly return. Yeah, in the future, it's going to bring you back some money in that because it's a long-term asset, but it's technically a liability because it costs you money and it don't bring you back no money. But I don't want to use the L word liability like it's a bad thing. At the end of the day, it's just like saving. You're putting money into a bank account. You don't get to reap the benefits of that straight away. It's only over years when you've got that money, now you can go and do something with it, because forget about interest. You got 25 grand in your bank account. How much interest you getting off there? You're not getting nothing off that, really and truly. So that's why I always recommend, if you got 25 grand in your bank account, put that into a property. The interest that's accumulated from that property cannot test the profit that you're going to make from putting down 25 grand or 20 grand on a buy-to-let property. So those are your options. You got a good relationship with your parents, live at your parents' house, stay there as long as possible. Get a property as a buy-to-let, meaning you put down 25% deposit, then obviously rent it out and that. If you don't want to do that, if you still want to get, or you can only afford to put down 10% as a deposit for a property, because you don't have 25% of 100 grand, or you don't have 25% of 200 grand, well then yeah, see if you can do this. Ask the mortgage broker, is it alright if I buy a property and live in there part-time, but then, rent out my property for 1 week as an Airbnb? And do you know what I just thought of as well? So you can do that. Yeah, you can ask your mortgage broker if you can get a residential property and put down 10% as a deposit, live there 3 weeks, and then 1 week you rent it out as an Airbnb, or rent it out as an Airbnb every weekend. Yeah, it's up to you. Or what else you can do is you can get a normal residential property, so you put down a 10% deposit, live there, and just get a lodger. Have a man, have a gal paying you £400-500 a month. So you can do that. So I'm giving you options. Right? With me, I'm the sort of person that it's not just one way to do things. There's many ways to do things. I'm literally like a life hack sort of person. You know, like a troubleshooter. If you've got a problem, hit me up. I will find you a solution to your problem. Trust me. Yeah? This is why I say I'm so valuable to my gal, because it's not a case of, oh, you know, he just got property, or like, oh, I mean, hey, I'm an 8 out of 10 in here. Some of you lot try to say him as a fucking 5 out of 10 in that. It's not just that. I bring value to my girl that you lot can't see. Because if there's a problem, Jay will find a solution. I promise you, I guarantee you. If my girl, yeah, was presented with 5 different problems and she said, you can bring one person into this problem to offer a solution, she'll bring me. If my girl was going to be, say for example, they say, because my girl's watching that Lost series again. If you're going to be lost on an abandoned island and that, who you bringing? She's going to bring me. Because she knows I'm going to bring some sort of solution to this problem. Yeah? So, yeah, any problems in that, leave it down in the comment section of any of my videos. I'll try and find a solution to your problem by way of a video. Unless you want to do a one-to-one mentoring session and that. Yeah, respect for listening.